Hey players, so we have some news regarding the terrible death of Tyre Nichols in 2023. As we all know, he was beat to death by 5 Memphis police officers. 3 of those officers have been on trial, and one of them has been found guilty of civil rights abuse, while the other 2 were only found guilty of witness tampering. Let's talk about it. So the trial began 3 weeks ago, where Demetrius Haley, Tadarius Beam, and Justice Smith were charged with excessive force resulting in injury, witness tampering, as well as civil rights violations. Now, the jury came back with their verdict today after deliberating for a little more than 5 hours, and they convicted Demetrius Haley of excessive force resulting in injury. Demetrius Haley was also convicted, along with Tadarius Beam and Justice Smith, of tampering with evidence for not being truthful in the aftermath of the beating of Tyre Nichols. The men still face second-degree murder charges in state court. Now, 2 of the 5 officers that were charged, Emmett Martin III and Desmond Mills Jr., reached plea agreements before trial and testified against their former colleagues. Emmett Martin was stoic and matter-of-fact as he described kicking Tyre Nichols, then punching him repeatedly, while Tadarius Beam and Smith restrained the Tyre Nichols, who had fled on foot from a traffic stop. Now, Desmond Mills also testified, and he cried and apologized for his role in the murder of Tyre. He stated that he made his child fatherless. He said, "I'm sorry, and I know I'm sorry can't bring him back." Martin and Mills testified that officers had an unspoken agreement to cover up what they'd done by withholding information about the extent of the beating to paramedics who responded to the scene, and while lying about their use of force and Nichols' behavior of aggression to supervisors and investigators in the hours and days following the incident. In closing, the government told the jury that they were the only people who could have prevented the officers from getting away with their crimes. Now, Desmond Mills, who took a plea deal, it calls for him to be sentenced to up to 15 years, while Emmett Martin's plea deal calls for him to be sentenced up to 40 years in prison in exchange for their testimony and cooperation. After the verdicts were read, Tyre Nichols' mother walked out of the courtroom and told reporters that she was in shock but happy that all of the men were convicted of at least one charge. She said, and I quote, "All of them have been convicted of something and they're all going to jail. That's how I feel. That this has been a long journey for my family." As we all know, they are suing the city for $550 million in a wrongful death suit, and also the officers still face a second-degree murder charge in state court. The judge ordered the officers to be taken into custody immediately. He planned to hold a hearing Monday to hear from the defense lawyers about releasing them pending sentencing. The witness tampering charge carries a possible sentence of up to 20 years in prison. The civil rights charge against Demetrius Haley carries up to 10 years in prison. They faced up to life in prison if convicted on the harshest of those charges. So none of the men were found guilty of the counts of deprivation of rights under the color of law for excessive force and for failure to intervene or deliberate indifference. But again, Demetrius Haley was convicted of a lesser count, which involved bodily injury. Players, put your thoughts in the comments. This is Double D Mo for the Black Hurt News. If that wasn't excessive force, violation of civil rights, I don't know what was.